All right. Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon.
Could you introduce yourself to our jurors, please?
My name is Detective Chris Johns. I work for the Jacksonville Beach Police Department.
Detective Johns, I want to go through a little bit of your educational background and job history.
Okay.
Let's start with your educational background. Can you describe it for the jury, please?
I have some college. I did not finish college. I then went to the police academy. Most of my education has been through career education or on-the-job training.
And you're going to testify twice before this jury. One time in regards to some financial records, so I'll save some of that for then, but can you very briefly give the jury your background in finance?
When I turned 18, I got a job at Citibank working in customer service. I became interested in the financial industry in general. So I moved on, became a mortgage banker, and I spent several years working in retail banking, usually in a branch setting. I eventually decided I wanted to continue on that, and I became a sales assistant for an investment advisor. Eventually went on to become a financial advisor and get my broker's license and become a firm principal. And then prior to that, I became a compliance analyst for an investment firm.
And this was a career you had prior to being a police officer?
Yes, correct.
Okay. What made you change careers from financial advising to a Jacksonville Beach police officer?
I actually had a client who was a police officer as a financial advisor, and I used to go on ride-alongs with him, and I loved it and kind of fell in love, and I said, I think I want to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about your experience at Jacks Beach Police Department. How long did you work at Jacks Beach?
I worked there for 10 months in 2010, and then I ended up having to leave due to my spouse's job. And then I was gone for a little while, and I came back in 2019.
And when you said you had to leave for your spouse's job, that was a move from the Jacksonville area?
Correct. We had to move to South Florida, so I had to relocate.
When you came back to Jacksonville, you resumed your employment with Jacks Beach Police?
That's correct.
What's your current employment status at Jacks Beach?
I work part-time still in our general investigation unit, and then I also have another business where we do financial planning and tax planning.
And are you transitioning back into the financial planning world?
I am committed to them to see the few cases that I have left, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that.
You and your spouse own your own financial planning company?
That's correct.
Okay. At the Jacksonville Beach Police Department, can you describe for the jurors what training you had to go through in order to become a police officer?
So just in general, to become a police officer, you're going to go through the police academy, which is about 770 hours, or was back then. Afterwards, you go through a 16-week FTO process or field training process where you're riding with a senior officer and they're grading you on how you do and showing you the ropes, if you will. On top of that, I've probably done about 1,000 hours of training post-academy. 300 of that has been in either crime scene investigation or criminal investigation, and then about 120 of that specifically in death investigation, suicide, or homicide. Admittedly, most of that happened after this case started.
But prior to your involvement in this case in February of 2022, had you been a police officer on your own for quite some time?
Yes.
What year did you graduate academy?
In 2014.
And you actually had the highest GPA in your graduating class, is that right?
I did, yes.
Okay. Tell me about some of the positions you held with Jacksonville Beach Police prior to joining the General Investigations Unit, which you were a member of back in 2022.
So in order to apply for the General Investigations Unit, you have to have 2 years in patrol, or at least you did during that time period. And part of that, so I had at least 2 years, and then I also served as a crime scene investigator, or evidence technician as they were called back then, before joining GIU. Part of the process when you're wanting to move into general investigations is they want to see what type of initiative you've taken on yourself to develop skills as an investigator. How many independent investigations have you taken on versus just passing off to the unit?
I'm going to stop you right there just so I make sure that I don't know if I've said this or someone else has. What does GIU stand for?
So the General Investigations Unit,
okay.
Which in Jacksonville Beach, we're a smaller agency than the sheriff's office. We basically have 2 units. There's the Special Investigations Unit, which handles vice or drug-related crimes, and then General Investigations Unit, which is going to handle any serious or major crime that doesn't involve drugs or a vice thing.
Will that include things like robberies, burglaries, and homicides?
That's correct.
To become a first of all, how long have you been a member of the GIU?
I was actually very new to the unit. I think I joined in December of 2021.
In order to join the General Investigations Unit with the Jacksonville Beach Police, do you just get to ask to go and sign up?
No, they'll put out a memo saying that there's an open position available. Then a bunch of people will apply, and there will be an interview process, and then they'll make a selection. Is
it competitive?
It is competitive, yes.
And you mentioned that you were fairly new to the GI unit prior to the homicide of Jared Bridegan in February 2022.
Correct.
Prior to being assigned as the lead detective on the homicide of Jared Bridegan in February 2022, had you ever worked as a lead detective on a homicide?
No.
Did you have some homicide experience through your time as a crime scene investigator?
I had worked one other homicide, shadowing actually as a crime scene investigator, and then I had probably worked 15 or 20 other death or suicide investigations prior to that.
At the time of Jared's death back in February of 2022, how did assignments come out on homicides? For example, how did you come to be the lead detective on this particular homicide?
So anytime in GIU, there's a rotating on-call schedule. And if you are the on-call detective when a case happens, while you might be supported by other members of the team, ultimately that case lands in your lap and you're the lead on it.
At Jacksonville Beach Police, as a GIU detective on a homicide, do you work independently and solo on cases?
No, any type of major investigation, it's really a team effort. And sometimes, depending upon the size of the investigation, it could even be a team effort between the larger detective unit, and we might also bring in, as we did in this case, bring in outside agencies to assist as well.
So in this particular case, who were members of the team that you worked with, or how many?
There were 5 people in the General Investigations Unit, another 5 or so in the Special Investigations Unit. We also worked very closely with the ATF and at times also with the FBI.
And in this particular case, did you have help or assistance and team members working closely with you from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or as we're calling it now, ATF?
Yeah, no case in this magnitude is worked in a silo. Everyone kind of works together. It's very much a team approach. There's no way that 1 or even 2 detectives, I don't care how seasoned you were, could have worked a case of this magnitude. It was certainly a team effort.
So let's go to February 16th, 2022. You were the on-call GIU detective that date.
Yes.
And what is the difference between a detective and a first responder when it comes to how you approach responding to a homicide scene?
So when a call comes out, especially a call that has some violent nexus to it, like a gunshot, stabbing, anything like that, the first job of the first responder is to stop the killing, protect any lives that are there, make sure that the scene is safe for fire rescue personnel, and then if possible to help provide life-saving measures.
And how is that different from your role as a detective when you respond to a scene?
Once the detectives get there, the scene is already secured. There's going to be crime scene tape already up. We're looking at it from a completely different standpoint, a much more methodical approach, an investigative approach.
I'm going to go through a PowerPoint while we're speaking. So I'm showing you it's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 198. This is a map with a red outline. And can you tell the jury what this map depicts?
The outline here is basically the city of Jacksonville Beach.
And you're drawing on it with a map for the record. Is that your jurisdiction as a Jacksonville Beach police officer?
Yes.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit 209. This is a Google map of the same area that was a smaller area. And this particular homicide, we've had several detectives testify, occurred in the most kind of southern border of that jurisdiction.
Yes.
Are you familiar with this area here, the Sanctuary neighborhood, Sanctuary Boulevard?
Yes, I am.
And can you describe for the jury the demographic makeup of that neighborhood? And by demographics, I mean, is it residential or is it businesses?
It's an exclusively residential area. There are no businesses anywhere there. It really offers, it's really a feeder street into the Sanctuary neighborhood, and there's actually a gated neighborhood back there called the Sanctuary. So, and it is used as a cut through by some residents who live near there, but mostly it is just a way in and out of the Sanctuary.
So when you responded on February 16th of 2022, the scene was already secured. Did you conduct a walkthrough of the scene?
Yes, I did.
And this is State's Exhibit 3. This is a video that the evidence technicians took of the scene. And we can see here it's very dark on this street. Can you describe the conditions and lighting that night?
This area is well known to be by officers that it's extremely dark. I mean, almost to the point where you can't see your hand in front of your face. As you can see in the video, that they're using flashlights, and you can still almost barely see the car if it didn't have its lights on. It's a very dark and not extremely well traveled.
When you arrived, was the victim still on scene?
Yes, he was.
And were there civilians on standby of people that had arrived on the scene for you to speak with?
I don't recall if they had been sent to the police station at that point or if they were still there.
While on scene, did you identify the victim as someone by the name of Jared Bridegan?
Yes.
How did you identify who he was?
They ran the plate on the vehicle and then pulled up his driver's license photo, and you could tell by seeing the victim on the ground and his photo that it matched.
And were you aware when you arrived or were advised at some point that there was a child with
Yes.
Mr. Bridegan when he died? So explain to the jury what your first steps are in this investigation.
When you get a case like this, the first thing is okay, what can you derive from the scene itself? This is not a well-traveled area. There's a tire laying in the middle of the road. So it seemed like it was placed there to get this vehicle to stop. So then the question is this a carjacking? Is this a robbery? And really that night we weren't really sure. There were no signs of robbery. He still had his jewelry, his AirPods, his wallet. So we were thinking that was probably not the case.
And in terms of it being a carjacking, would the presence of the tire lead you to believe it was not a carjacking? Because it's hard to drive away in someone's car if it's blocked by a tire.
Correct. It would be difficult to, not impossible, but it would be fairly difficult, and it certainly doesn't seem like something that you would do if you were planning on driving the car away.
Did you consider the possibility that there had been some kind of dispute, either a road rage, something along those lines?
At that time, no, not really, but later in the investigation, absolutely.
So did you begin canvassing or sending officers to canvass to see if there had been any eyewitnesses to the killing?
Patrol officers, and then we called in the SIU units to go and do an initial canvass that evening just to see if there were any suspicious people around, if they noticed anyone. Some people said that they heard anything, but we couldn't find anyone who said that they actually saw anything.
So that night, one of your priorities would have been getting a description if there was a potential suspect or suspects or vehicle description?
Correct.
From the canvassing that night by the patrol officers and your fellow detectives, was anyone able to come up with a suspect or vehicle description that night?
No.
Meaning nobody saw what happened?
Correct.
Did you speak to some people that had come across the scene after Jared had been shot?
Yes, there was two older ladies who just happened to be leaving a birthday. They were there, and then we also spoke to a couple people that I think you might have already met earlier who took Bexley out of the car and were on scene pretty quickly after this happened.
So when you arrived, there were individuals, you said some older ladies that were at a birthday?
Yes.
And they had been in a vehicle at the scene?
Correct.
And then the vehicle behind them contained some individuals who had taken the child out of the car?
Correct.
And did yourself or detectives with your team speak to those individuals to see if they had any relevant information?
Yes, I spoke to Mr. Shane Borgia that evening. Other officers spoke with the ladies, and then they were actually contacted later to get more information from them.
And were they able to give you any suspect descriptions, vehicle descriptions, or any indication of how the homicide went down?
No.
When I say went down, I mean the manner in which it was committed.
No, everyone who arrived after it had already occurred.
What time did the first 911 call for the homicide come in? If you don't remember the exact time, you can give me an approximation.
I think it was 7:59. It was like maybe 6 or 8 minutes after the shooting, the last shot.
And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but how do you know what time this shooting actually occurred?
The shooting was actually captured on a nearby, or not really that nearby. There was a camera on a rooftop, and the gentleman just happened to be out working or loading stuff in his vehicle, and that caused his camera to capture the shooting.
Oh, the last shot.
The last shot, excuse me.
And the timestamp on that camera was 7:52 p.m.
Correct.
All right, so that night, besides Mr. Borgia, who else did you speak with?
I also spoke with Jared Bridegan
Where did you speak with Mrs. Bridegan?
at the police station.
And she arrived on her own?
She was with her mother.
Did you make the notification to her that her husband had been killed?
I can't remember if it was me or my sergeant that did it.
That evening, you spoke to her. Did you conduct a recorded interview, Mirandize her, interrogate her?
No, we did not.
Why not?
Generally, we do record everything that goes on in one of our rooms. It's the nature of why they exist. However, we made a decision that evening not to record a widow who had just found out that her husband had been killed.
You're making a notification to someone their husband had died. You're not interrogating a suspect at that point.
That's correct.
All right. Other than Mrs. Bridegan and Mr. Borgia, did you speak with anyone else that night who seemed to have any type of relevant information?
No.
And detectives and patrol officers were delegated to go canvass and try to see if there were any other witnesses.
That's correct.
I want to talk now about the days following the homicide and the development into your initial investigation.
Okay.
So having looked at the scene, seeing that it was not consistent with what you know to be consistent with a robbery or a carjacking, what did you investigate next?
The first thing we did was a geofence, basically, and we also did a tower dump. So basically what we're looking for in that instance is we get a search warrant to get data from Google or the cell phone providers to see if we can identify any devices that don't belong in the area. We know we're going to pick up some devices of people who we knew were already there or people who live near the scene, but we were looking for any outliers of that.
When you say a tower dump, you're referring to you can send a search warrant to a cell phone carrier and get a list of the phone numbers that utilized a tower in close proximity to a certain location like a homicide scene.
That's correct.
Does that depend on those devices being on and using cellular data?
Yes.
Geofence is similar, but it involves your usage of Google and Google devices.
Correct. It's anytime you have anytime you're using any type of Google product, they're most likely collecting data points about where you're located at.
And like a tower dump, does that rely on the device that's utilizing Google being powered on and using Google products?
Yes.
Okay. Did you receive a return from that and follow up on those numbers for both the geofence and the tower dump?
The tower dump's a little bit more difficult because the geographic location is so small in Jacksonville Beach. There are only a couple of towers. There were nothing that popped out at us, but the geofence was something that we more focused on. But it also did not return anything that was a viable lead.
Did you look at chase down any leads, look at numbers, investigate the people that belong to those phone numbers or devices?
Every person that we identified was either someone who lived, we could verify that they lived within our geographic area, or someone that we already knew was there and they were not a suspect.
So you had numbers that you could not identify as residents, and then you eventually cross-referenced them with all the names that were brought up in this case that could potentially be involved.
That's correct.
And that did not lead to any investigative leads?
No, it did not.
After doing that, what else did you look into as a next step? You mentioned earlier that you did not consider the possibility of a dispute or road rage that night, but later on, tell the jury about that investigation.
We basically started doing what we call victimology, which is where we try to learn everything we can about a victim. Usually, not always, but usually when someone is murdered, there is a reason. It is due to a conflict that they have in their life. So we tried to learn everything we could about Jared Bridegan. Who was he as a person, an employee, where did he go, and we literally looked at everywhere that he frequented, the people that he hung out with, and we started basically just crossing things off the list.
Did you retrace his steps that evening?
Yes, we did.
And tell the jury about what you uncovered, where you went, what kind of evidence you collected.
We found out that he was there for date night, and that was explained to us what date night was, where he would go and pick up his kids from his ex-wife's home. They would go out to eat, and then he would take them back home. We found out that they went to Bearded Pig, so we went to Bearded Pig. We interviewed the staff to determine if maybe he had gotten into some kind of dispute with someone at the restaurant. We received footage of their parking lot to see if maybe there was some type of incident in the parking lot. And then we kind of followed him around, and he went to Wendy's after that, and then kind of back to drop his kids off. Everywhere we looked, there was there's nothing to suggest that he had been in some type of road rage event or had gotten into kind of confrontation with anyone that evening.
So you went to the restaurant he ate at, interviewed the staff, pulled surveillance. Did you pull surveillance at the Wendy's as well?
There was very limited surveillance there, but yes, we did.
And you saw no indication that you could see him having an altercation with someone or anyone following him or any kind of cars almost hitting each other, stealing a parking spot, something like that?
From what we could see, there was nothing like that.
So you said generally people are murdered for a reason. Did that mean that you had, at some point in the days following the homicide, eliminated this as a potential random act of violence?
The evidence just did not suggest that that's what this was.
And how so?
Going back and looking at Mr. Bridegan's life, he didn't seem to have, there was no gambling debts, there was no history of drug use. He didn't seem to have any conflict in his life, that would cause this. And then you go back to the scene and you factor in both what we learned about him as a person and then also the evidence at the scene, which is more and more leading us towards that this was an intentional act that had been committed.
And when you say intentional act, do you mean specific to Mr. Bridegan himself?
That's correct.
What about the evidence of the scene made you believe that this was intended specifically for him?
Well, you have a not a very well-traveled area, very dark at night. A rim is thrown out in the front of his vehicle or is placed there to get him to stop, and he is shot and killed.
You talked about something you called victimology. As part of that process, what do you do?
We will pull their phone records, find out who they associate with on a normal basis. We'll pull their bank account records to see where they spend their money at, how they earn their money. Then we will start whittling down who are their known associates, who do they spend their time with. And then we'll start talking to those people and trying to find out what type of person we have.
Did you pull Jared Bridegan's financial records?
Yes.
Did you pull his wife, Kirsten Bridegan's financial records?
Yes.
Did you pull their phone records?
Yes.
Did you take Mr. Bridegan's phone and other electronic devices to be forensically examined?
Yes, we did.
And by that means we use, in common language, the phrase dump his phones, dump his devices.
Yes.
And did you review that data?
We did.
Was there anything you found in his financials, phone records, or devices that gave you any leads to investigate as to potentially a suspect that had intentionally sought to kill him?
There was nothing to suggest in his phone records, his bank accounts, or any of his electronic devices that we feared that would cause him to be murdered.
Was there anyone that you were looking at in those early days as potentially of interest to you in this investigation in regards to a motive or reason to intentionally target Mr. Bridegan? I
think anytime you have a homicide investigation or really any major crime, it's kind of the old adage that everybody's a suspect until you're not, and that's how we kind of look at these things. And we started to kind of whittle away at the possible suspect list. One name that just kept coming up and really kind of the only ongoing conflict we could find in his life, everyone kept kind of pointing us back to...
Response.
Here I'm discussing the steps of his investigation and effect on listener.
I'll sustain it.
Let me think of a way to rephrase this. Without telling me what people told you, did you begin to narrow down your list of people of interest to any particular individuals?
Let me see you at sidebar. May proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The detective, after eliminating some of these possibilities, looking at surveillance, retracing the victim's steps, looking at his devices, pulling financial records, pulling phone records, conducting witness interviews, did you begin to perceive or investigate into the defendant, in this case, Mario Fernandez and Shanna Gardner, as persons of interest?
Yes, we did.
And Your Honor, I think that's a natural stopping point for the jurors to have a break, as the court requested.
Okay. Members of the jury, we're going to take a 15-minute break, refresh yourselves, okay, and come back. We'll be back at 2:30. 2:30. All right, everyone may be seated. So since Detective Johns is going to be a longer witness, what I'd ask is that the lawyers kind of be cognizant of the time and just ask for a break about every hour or so, so that, number one, the jurors can maintain attentiveness, and then also, like, we don't go too long with the witness as well. You can have a break, Detective Johns. For the 15 minutes, you cannot discuss your testimony with anyone, and that's including the lawyers. You're still considered to be on the stand, okay?
Yes,
or with anybody, all right? So go ahead and we'll take the 15 minutes, okay?
Your Honor.
Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
thank you. Kind of a natural lull. All right. Okay. An hour right on the dot, but like.
I'm not great. If I do break,
You want me to interrupt you? You want me to interrupt? Okay. You'll get the hook.
I think I'll bounce back.
Okay. I don't want to interrupt you.
And I'll try not to. And maybe my team can throw peanuts at me.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to. Okay. Let's bring in the jury.
Yeah, it's not case related.
Yours in the courtroom, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, welcome back, everyone. Everyone may be seated. Ms. Stifler.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Johns, before the break, we got to the point in your investigation where you had narrowed the field of potential individuals with motive and were starting to look into Ms. Gardner and Mr. Fernandez.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you also still investigating other leads that were not necessarily connected at that time to Gardner and Fernandez?
Yes.
What was your main focus the first couple months of the investigation?
We had found video surveillance of a blue two-tone F-150, and that was actually our main focus of the investigation at that point, is trying to figure out who owned that vehicle and where it came from.
And the jury has seen a video of surveillance clips you collected and heard testimony that early on you all became aware that this truck could potentially be involved. Can you advise the jury about the link between the truck you saw on camera and the tire collected at the scene?
The truck that we saw on camera and was essentially linked back to, or the tire on scene had a DOT number on it, which is not quite a serial number, but it tells you when the tire, where the tire was manufactured and what week and year it was manufactured. The tire left on the scene and the tire that was found at Potomac had the same DOT number.
And we heard some testimony about that. What does that mean essentially about the two tires and where and when they were produced?
It means they were produced in the same factory or the same manufacturer, the same week and year.
Did you try to identify a blue, older model Ford F-150 two-tone vehicle by searching through records available to you as law enforcement officers?
Yes, we did.
What did you do in order to try to narrow down and see if you could find anyone who potentially had associations with a truck like that?
We went through the database of, when you go to get a tag for your vehicle, DHSMV. We went through all of theirs. We tried to find any vehicles that match the general year and description of that, try to narrow those down. And admittedly, there were tons of them. So we tried our best to focus on what we could to try to find some link to these vehicles. Unfortunately, at that time, we didn't have license plate readers or anything like that. So that was kind of our best thing. We also looked for anyone who was selling that same make and model that we knew was potentially involved.
So you did some database research into tag registration, sales of trucks, and did you send officers out in the field to track down any potential leads from that information?
Yes, we did.
Eventually, at some point, did you decide to release, as an agency, release a photograph of the suspect truck through the media as a plea to the public for information?
Yes, we did.
Tell the jury about that, please.
Eventually, we were kind of just running out of areas to search, and we believed that this truck was absolutely involved in this crime based upon the tire matching and just the surveillance video all matching up. But we just could not identify where this truck, who it belonged to, where it came from. So we decided as an agency just to go ahead and release it to the media in hopes that someone might see it and call in and tell us about it.
Did the Jacksonville Beach Police Department receive calls following the media release of that photograph of the truck?
We received dozens and dozens of telephone calls. Unfortunately, we kind of set ourselves up to receive calls about any and every Ford F-150 or other pickup truck that had any type of similar paint color or description.
Of those calls, if any of them seemed specific enough to the vehicle you were looking for, did you or fellow officers reach out to that person or follow up with those leads?
We did our best to try to follow up with them. Sometimes it could be someone calling and saying, I was at Lowe's and I saw a truck drive past me, and unfortunately that's not a whole lot to go off of. But the ones that we could or that we had an address to, we'd send someone out. A lot of times it wouldn't quite match or it wouldn't even be the right make or model, but we did our best to try to follow up on those.
Did you ever receive a tip to follow up on in regards to the media release of a photograph of that truck that led you to 5239 Potomac from those call-ins?
No, we did not.
Another lead you had from the scene was the presence of shell casings. Tell the jury what you did in order to investigate those shell casings.
So a relatively new process, it's still relatively new. We tried to send those shell casings to the ATF lab to see if we could get a DNA profile off the person who might have loaded them into the magazine. And
trying to obtain DNA off shell casings, you said that's relatively new. Why did you have to submit them to ATF lab instead of using the FDLE lab here in the state of Florida?
FDLE did not have the capability of doing that at the time. I believe there's only one private lab and then the ATF's lab.
So you sent it to the one private lab that you were aware of that was at the time performing this kind of testing?
We sent it to the ATF's lab for cost reasons. But it was only the ATF lab and I believe one private lab that actually even did it at that time.
Okay, and that was my question. So these two labs were doing this, other labs were not, and you attempted that?
Correct.
And we'll hear from a DNA expert later, but did you get any leads on suspects from the DNA results on those shell casings?
We did not.
Was there DNA present on the shell casings?
Only the victims.
Detective Johns, as you mentioned that police work is not a silo. As you are investigating this homicide, are you having daily briefings with other members of your team and with members of the Jacksonville Beach Police Department and ATF?
Yes, we held an 8 a.m. briefing and a 5 p.m. briefing every day to discuss any new information that might have come about or any new leads that were discovered.
Are you familiar with 10mm firearms through your training and experience as a law enforcement officer?
I'm not super familiar with them. I can say through our collective experience that they are very rare. Not so rare that it's a unicorn, but rare enough that compared to a 9mm or even a .40 caliber, we see drastically a lot less of them.
Did you send these shell casings to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office to run through what's called NIBIN, which is the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, which is a fancy way of saying a database where they could tell you if those casings were fired by a firearm and relate to another crime where they have casings from?
Yes, we did.
And did you get any investigative leads from that?
No.
So they, the national network, you could not find a shell casing that from your scene that could potentially be linked to some crime somewhere else in the country.
That's correct.
Did you look at sales and pawn records for 10 millimeter firearms in the Jacksonville Beach area?
We actually asked the ATF to go out to all of the FFLs or the licensed firearm dealers in Duval County to pull all of the recent sales or pawns of recent 10 millimeters. And then we did the best we could to make sure that none of those people had any type of connection with either a blue Ford F-150 or a connection back to the victim.
So you researched into purchasers of 10 millimeter firearms, and admittedly, it's a limited search. You can't look at every person who's ever bought a 10 millimeter. Here in the state of Florida, are you required to register your firearm with the state of Florida?
No, there's no registry, and you can do a private sale as well, and there's a record of that. So
if somebody had given someone a 10 millimeter or sold it to them in a private sale, there would not be a record of that potentially.
that's correct.
Okay. All right. So just so that we're clear, based on the last question posed by the state, the question, and I'll read it back. So you researched into purchasers of 10 millimeter firearms, and admittedly, it's a limited search. You can't look at every person that bought the 10 millimeter here in the state of Florida. Are you required to register your firearm in the state of Florida? Answer, no. There's no registry, and you can do a private sale as well, and there's no record of that. Question, so if somebody had given someone a 10 millimeter or sold them in a private sale, there would not be a record of that potentially. Answer, that's correct, and then that's when the objection came?
I'm sorry, my objection was slightly delayed because I had to confer with counsel.
Okay.
So it was the question or two before that question.
Let me see if this is it. Did you look at sales and pawn records for 10 millimeter firearms in Jacksonville Beach area? Answer, we actually asked the ATF to go out to all of the FL or licensed firearms dealers in Duval County and pull all the recent sales or pawns. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. I'll finish the answer. Pull all of the recent sales or pawns of the recent 10 millimeters, and then we did the best we could to make sure none of those people had any types of connections with the blue Ford F-150 or a connection with, or a connection back to the victim. So if you could start there, does the state of Florida have any information related to that?
Your Honor, I was never provided, nor do I believe that law enforcement with the Jacksonville Beach Police Department kept any records. In the wiretap affidavit that was provided to defense counsel in initial discovery in 2023, on page 39, the firearms search, subsection 1, information contains information that ATF conducted, I'm quoting from the wiretap affidavit that was provided in discovery. ATF conducted a canvass of FFLs in Duval County from January 1st, 2022 through February 16th, 2022, and discovered that only 0.05% of FFL firearms purchases in this time period were for 10 millimeter Glocks. Footnote 25, this refers only to FFLs, not private sales. JSO provided information that they received only 4 leads from the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, NIBIN, for 10 millimeter firearms. So there was information provided to defense in this wiretap affidavit through law enforcement that there was a search by ATF through databases to track down FFL sales and do some statistical analysis. I don't have any records of what they searched. All I have is the information they gleaned from it, which was there were no investigative leads. None of those records were, I believe, placed into property. They don't exist on any of the property cards. So I don't believe it's a discovery violation because that information has been disclosed through the affidavit of Detective Johns during the wiretap, which is dated January 21st, 2023, which was provided on the state's initial examination.
Okay.
Obviously, the disclosed to defense such that they could request records themselves or further discovery through depositions on that matter.
Mr. Dreiser? Yes.
If you need it, you need it, but I'm going to withdraw my objection.
Okay.
And that, for Mr. Dreiser, sure.
Okay. Mr. Dreiser?
And just for Mr. Dreiser's information, that was the last in that line of questioning, so.
Okay. If my mic wasn't on, I'll withdraw my objection. Given the information provided from the affidavit, I think it's consistent with what his answer was, and they confirmed that there are no documents that were turned over as they didn't, well, I can cross them as to whether they should or they didn't or they are, but she's confirming they don't have any.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll bring the jury back then. Please let the record reflect that the request for a Richardson hearing is withdrawn. All right, let's bring the jury back.
Jury's in the courtroom, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, welcome back in. Everyone may be seated. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, Detective Johns, we discussed your investigation into Mr. Bridegan himself. We discussed your investigation into the blue two-toned Ford F-150. We discussed your investigation into 10-millimeter firearms. And those leads at some point, is it fair to say, kind of got cold?
Yes.
I want to talk about the secondary track of your investigation. Earlier, we mentioned that at some point you believed that Mr. Fernandez, the defendant in this case, and Ms. Gardner could be persons of interest based on your investigation.
That's correct.
Did you learn through review of the St. Johns County Clerk of Courts record and other investigative means to include an interview with Mr. Fernandez himself about the divorce between Ms. Gardner and Mr. Bridegan?
That's correct.
And were you aware of Mr. Bridegan's, you mentioned date night earlier, this particular night, February 16th, did you confirm that that was in fact a scheduled date night?
Yes.
So I want to draw your attention to the screen. I'm showing you State's Exhibit 205. Is this 1511 Marsh Inlet Court?
Yes, it is.
And who resided there at the time of Jared Bridegan's homicide?
Mario Fernandez and Ms. Gardner.
And they had joint custody of the twin children. For purposes of record, we're going to call them AB and LB. Is that correct?
Yes.
I want to give the jury kind of an idea of the location of the Marsh Inlet home in comparison to some other areas of interest. I'm showing you State's Exhibit 204. This is a Google map. This location here, 400 3rd Street South, is a Wendy's. Is that correct?
It was a Wendy's, yes.
Is that the Wendy's that you went and obtained surveillance from the night Jared Bridegan was killed?
Yes.
And this shows the Google map. Whether he took this route or not, we don't know, but all roads lead to Shetter Avenue, and to get from Wendy's to Miss Gardner's home, he most likely would have taken Shetter, correct?
Correct.
This is State's Exhibit, hold on, 204. I'm zooming in on State's 204. I want to ask about some areas of interest. So this flag here, what does that depict?
That was the Marsh Inlet residence we were just looking at.
This home we see here in State's Exhibit 205?
Correct.
Ms. Stifler, if you could get rid of that circle.
I am, yes, ma'am. In looking at the front of the Marsh Inlet house, are there any houses to the right?
There are not, no.
What is on the right-hand side of this residence at Marsh Inlet?
There's a little, I guess, sign for the neighborhood, and then other than that, there's just the street.
So at Marsh Inlet here, it's at the corner of Marsh Inlet and South 15th Street.
That's correct.
And behind the house at Marsh Inlet, what is it to the back of the property on the back fence line?
Now it's all Discovery School. I'm not sure if they own that property then, or I think they did, but it's all basically the Discovery School campus.
So if you were to hop over that fence or walk back behind the house, you would hit the property that belongs to the Discovery School.
Correct.
Did AB and LB attend the Discovery School prior to Jared Bridegan's death?
Yes.
Did they continue to attend the Discovery School after his death?
Yes, I did.
And then you kept walking through the Discovery School. What is the next street that you would hit?
It's called, the area is called Pablo Hamlet. It's a continuation of Cheddar Avenue, but basically Cheddar Avenue runs into Pablo Hamlet.
So
Pablo Hamlet.
So Marsh Inlet Home, directly behind it is the Discovery School, where AB and LB attended school. And then directly behind that is going to be Pablo Hamlet.
Correct.
Are there any streets in between Cheddar and Marsh Inlet on 15th?
No, there are not.
Did you speak with the defendant in this case, Mr. Fernandez, in regards to Jared Bridegan as part of your investigation following his homicide?
Yes.
Do you remember the date of when you interviewed Mr. Fernandez?
March 1st.
How did you arrange to interview Mr. Fernandez?
I don't remember if I called him or Miss Gardner, but we made phone contact with them, and they agreed to come in.
Do you remember what date you made phone contact with them to set up that interview at the police station?
I believe it was the day before.
So that would be February 28th,
Correct.
2022. And you spoke with Mr. Fernandez. He was willing to come in?
Yes.
And you arranged to have that interview the following day on March 1st, 2022.
Yes.
When you talked to Mr. Fernandez, did you audio and video record that interview?
Yes, we did.
While you were speaking to him, was there anything during that conversation that corroborated what you believed to be the motive you were developing? I can ask it a different way.
Okay.
When you interviewed Mr. Fernandez, and the jury's going to see his interview momentarily and hear it themselves, were there specific statements he said that you notated as potentially relevant to your investigation?
Yes.
What were some of the specific statements, based on your training and experience, that stood out to you such that you notated them?
That he and Miss Gardner were trying to get a social investigation done in order to gain at least majority custody of the kids.
And just, it goes without saying, but I am going to say it. This interview, March 1st, 2022, was after Jared had been killed.
That's correct.
All right.
I'm sorry. I was asking about the date.
Okay.
This interview was conducted as part of your homicide investigation, so clearly, and I'm just for context for the jury to watch it, this is after Mr. Bridegan had been killed.
Yes, that's correct.
Did you also speak with Ms. Gardner that day?
Yes, we did.
Without saying anything she said, after her interview, did you take any steps off the path of the investigation you were already on?
No.
Your Honor, this time I would like to publish what's been marked and entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 183.
Sure.
This is a recorded interview. It's about 50 minutes long, just for everyone's information.
Is everyone okay? All the jurors? Okay. Go ahead.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this earlier. I would request the court read the redaction instruction at this time.
Thank you. Give me just a moment.
Yes, ma'am, I'll get it set up.
Members of the jury, as the state is getting the exhibit prepared, I give you this instruction as it relates to State's Exhibit 183. You're about to view a video recording, and the court instructs you that the recording has been edited to eliminate irrelevant portions that would not add to your understanding of this case. And the fact that the recording has been edited should not impact the way that you view and consider this evidence. You may proceed.
Thank you.
Members of the jury, because it is 50 minutes, I do want to give you the leeway that if you do need a break in the course of the exhibit being published, all you have to do is raise your hand and I'll take the break and we'll pause it, okay?
Before we begin, Detective, when you conduct an interview of an individual with your partner, Detective Lamont, are the things that you and Detective Lamont saying necessarily your opinions or the truth?
No, they're not.
So just because you're saying something's an interview doesn't necessarily mean you believe it.
That's correct.
It could be an investigative technique. you learned in how to interview individuals or how to elicit responses.
That's correct.
Give me just one moment before you do that. Members of the jury, as well as the instruction that I just gave you, I also give you this instruction that you must abide by and follow. You're about to watch a recorded interview that contains maybe the opinions and statements by Detective John to Mario Fernandez, and these opinions and these statements are pertinent only to explain the reactions and responses that they elicit. You are not to consider the opinions or statements of Detective Johns as evidence. They're not evidence. So in that context is the reason why those statements and opinions may be contained on this video. So you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Detective Johns, just to orient the jury, what is this room we're looking at here on the video?
We commonly refer to this as a soft room. It's where we would conduct interviews of people that are not necessarily under arrest or considered suspects.
And at this point in your investigation, was Mr. Fernandez and Ms. Gardner true suspects?
No.
And the individual here in the red T-shirt and black mask with the bun in his hair, is that the defendant in this case, Mr. Fernandez?
Yes, it is.
This Blu-ray disc thing is terrible.
Did you drag it to the desktop?
I'll try to do it. We did test this last week and it was in working.
Members of the jury, why don't you give us 5 minutes and we'll get it all set up for you to come back, okay? Everyone may be seated. Are you playing? Sure. Are you playing from your computer or?
No, I'm using the Blu-ray player on the evidence card, but I'm trying plugging it directly into
We're off the record.
modem.
1 second. Right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think we got it worked out.
Okay.
I think you guys met the other night, right?
The night, yeah. Listen, man, I appreciate you coming in. So basically what we're trying to do, we're just trying to get an idea about Jared, who he is, how he was, the dynamic, from we're looking, it's just some stuff that we're looking to kind of get questions or answers to. And obviously you being, and being in that dynamic, you should be able to give us an interesting perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where I would like to start, man, is just so I guess we'll go back to the beginning when you met Shanna, right? Like, how did that happen?
So at that when we met, we were both working for Black Hive, right there, the CrossFit gym. I was the maintenance guy, and she was a coach, and that's just kind of how it all began. I got introduced to the kids, saw how things were, and for Shanna and I, it was a bit of a unique situation because of the type of person Jared was. Shanna and I, we pretty much sealed the deal very early in the relationship because there was no way I was going to be able to help her with anything relevant to the kids if we weren't. It was just impossible. So for me and with Shanna, it was very much hey, we can't really have a relationship if your kids don't like me. But I started with that.
Right.
And then from there we just moved forward. But then, I guess coming into the kids' lives, and then I remember reaching out to Jared, and I let him know. I said particularly, it was right after Shannon and I got married. I told him, hey man, now that I'm gonna be in the kids' lives more often, maybe you and I should have a chat. Nothing. I got nothing.
Was that done over phone, text? And he just didn't send you nothing back?
Nope.
Is that the only time you ever tried to reach out to him?
So after that, we were all in a group text message, and there were lots of times where, like, if you look at like our emails, our text messages, our exchanges, it's very, to me, it's just pestering. It's very annoying. I don't like that. I would much rather do what we're doing right now. We'll all sit down, and if we have something to confront, we'll do it together.
Right.
You know, we can talk about it. I extended that to them plenty of times, where it's like, why don't you guys come over, and we'll talk about this, we'll figure something out, something like that. I've even thrown in stuff where it's in regards to, because they're practicing, you know, they're religious, and they practice the Mormon religion.
Right.
Shanna has that background, and there are certain things that we could put in play that is just like their religion.
Right, right.
Where we could do it in a stable place.
Yeah.
Hell no. No way in hell. One of the best things that I got with Jared, I went to pick the kids up one time. This had to have been like 3 years ago. I went to go pick the kids up, and I'm not the type to like not just knock on the door and be like, hey, I'm here, you know, versus like sending a text. So I parked outside, went to go knock on the door. Kids come running out, and they're freaking out. They're losing their shit. They're like, you're not supposed to knock on the door. They're like scared.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? They're like, well, Dad said no one's supposed to knock on the door. You guys can't knock. And I was like, okay, I can do whatever I want, you know, and he can tell me that.
Yeah.
And I just stood at the door, the kids got out, and I was like, all right, man, you good? Like, I could see him.
Yeah.
He refused to turn around. Liam shut the door. Then I got a text message saying, if I ever knock on his door and come on his property like that he was going to file a restraining order against me.
Was this before you were married?
This is after.
This was after you were married.
Yeah.
So this was after you became a step parent.
Yep.
Were there any instances like that before you got married to Shanna?
Before that, because I was introduced to the kids, and the kids, like, you know, they would talk about me. That stuff more or less went to Shanna. It wasn't. I never received anything particular. The dude never spoke to me.
Yeah.
The one time where he said, well, actually, no, he didn't even direct anything to me. But the only time we've seen them really in person, outside of when we do the exchanges with the kids or stuff, or the kids doing something, is when we were in court. They came in, I went to shake their hands. His wife shook my hand, and he just looked right at his lawyer, and just refused to say anything.
Wow.
Yeah, that's rough. That's crazy, man. So outside of court, how many interactions were there? Like, did y'all go to like gymnastics? I know your wife, she's in gymnastics.
So Abigail's in gymnastics, and she hasn't had any performances, but I know that Abigail has told us, like, that he just drops her off and then leaves, goes home, then comes back, even though they live like 5 minutes away. Obviously, because we're so far away, we're in there. I'll go in, and I'll let her know. I was like, hey, man, you should stop being a chatty Cathy and, like, practice. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they never stayed. I've gone on their weeks, too, and just to, like, take pictures of Abby and, like, you know, get progress in, and nothing. The only other time that we had an interaction was Abby was in dance, and she had a recital. So we went there. They avoid us like the plague. So him, his parents were there, if I'm not mistaken. They sat completely away. We sat out in the front. Some of Shanna's friends, they were there. They were around us. And on the way out, since it was their week, they were leaving with the kids, you know. So we just walked up to the kids, and we gave Abby flowers. You know, we had Liam give her flowers, and they just sat back, or they stood back, and nothing, not hi, not nothing. There's even been times when Shanna or the kids would ask to call Shanna or vice versa, and if they were in the car with them, you know, there was one particular moment after their first younger sister was born, Bexley, they were so excited to, like, show the baby.
Right.
And they were all in the car, and then Jared and Kirsten freaked the fuck out. They were like, Liam, no! Like, they didn't want us to see the baby. They didn't want any of that shit. Nope.
So how did, I mean, obviously in your interactions with kids, I mean, you haven't interacted with him that much. How did the kids seem, how did they seem towards Jared?
So there's a big history, I guess, that I could drop on you guys in regards to the kids and their interactions. That's definitely more something since they've been in therapy since the divorce. Dr. Mercedes McGowan, she's like the best.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been there for all of it. I mean, the kids, they have journals that, you know, when they turned 7, I told Shannon, I was like, hey, some of these things that are happening, for them to verbalize it better or to not forget when they go and talk to the therapist, like maybe we should have them write it down. So for them it was more of like, I'm getting my writing practice in, because that's how I introduced it to them, and it was so that they could have all of their information to give to Dr. Mercedes.
Right.
But a lot of it was, you know, sometimes they would talk about how they were scared to ask him stuff, but I don't think I think it was more of a like, oh, like he's going to say no, so I don't want to ask. But then there were other times where, since it was a 50-50, every other week, if we didn't have the kids, we would go on Wednesdays and go to date night, and we'd have them, before it used to be a 2-hour window, we'd go have dinner.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it was that day,
Right.
that Wednesday. He came, picked them up, they went to dinner, dropped them off. So that was normal. But there are plenty of times when, because it's just him at that moment, he'll say specific things to the kids. And I mean, we've had to go through a series of roller coasters where, like, he once particularly, Abigail wanted to dye her hair purple. I don't give a fuck. Shit's cool, whatever. It looks great, you know. Why not do it professionally versus, like, putting the chalk shit on? That's where my mind is. But she was legitimately scared to ask him and get that rejection. But on top of that, when she did approach it, because I was, you know, it's one of those things where, like, I don't want them to be scared to have that confrontation. It's like, you gotta face it head on, and if they tell you no, who cares?
Right.
You know, best thing that could happen is they say yes, everybody wins. They say no, well, fuck it, we'll figure out something else.
Right.
Yeah.
So she sits there and asks him, and he then proceeded to tell her that if you do that, first it was well, your hair is beautiful just the way it is. Yeah, but I want to do this. And then it was, well, God won't like you, and you won't be accepted in the church. That's where he deviated, like, damn near immediately.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp turn there.
He told Liam something similar. Then he told him about the rejection in the church in regards to tattoos. And I know that was a stab at Shanna, because Shanna has a sleeve.
Yeah.
So we had to take the kids to, luckily we're friends with a bishop of the religion that lives down the street from us. And him and his wife, like, we get along with their families, it's great. And then Shanna was like, you know what, why don't we take you to go talk to the bishop? And here the kids are asking the bishop questions of, like, hey, you know, like, we were told that we wouldn't, and, you know, he had to just let them know and reassure them. It's like, you'll always be welcome to come into the church. Like, you will not be rejected for that. And then that turned sour, because the kids told Jared, hey, the bishop told us that it was fine.
Yeah.
Jared then, on the following date night, he drove to the church and got into a pissing contest with the bishop. And the bishop, like, the kids were there, so the bishop's like, hey guys, why don't you guys go outside? So he had an entire chat with him and just let him get it all out. And then after the confrontation, you know, he's like, what are you on, man? Why would you not want the mother of your children to succeed so that they could have better?
Right.
That's pretty much where it went, and he just lost his shit. Left. I guess they went to go get dinner, and then he asked the kids to tell them where he lives, and then they drove past his house.
When was that? How long ago was that?
Shit, that had to have been 2 years ago.
2 years?
It was before COVID, so it's definitely 2 years ago.
What's
That's like the timeline before COVID.
Do you know the bishop's name?
I always forget his Curry.
Curry?
That's his last name.
And his church is up here on, is it?
On Penman.
Penman?
Yeah. Yeah, and then the bishop, he had to contact legal in regards to the legal portion of the church. You know, kind of notify it.
Why did he have to contact legal?
Because, I guess it's because of their interaction, and because he drove by his house. It's one of those, like...
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's weird as hell. You know,
Did it get physical or anything? Or
no, just very verbal. Very verbal, and then he asked the kids to take him and show him where his house is.
Did they tell you, did he tell you what he said or anything like that?
what the bishop tell us?
Yeah.
He pretty much told us that he was asking why he would, like, more or less interact and help someone who has left the church, and he was harping on Shannon. That's pretty much where it went. And then for the bishop, it was more of a, again, like, why would you want the mother of your children to fail? You know, why would you not want them to succeed? Because it's that 50-50. And then, you know, I can barely remember it, but he dropped the verse on him where it's just like, you know, even if you have one sheep that has separated, why would you not go out of your way to get that sheep either back to the flock or just to safety?
Yeah.
So he hit them with that, and he didn't like that shit at all. So
When you say succeed, you said you keep saying that why would you want her to succeed, Shannon? Like, what do you mean, like professionally or like spiritually or like what do you like?
I guess I don't know if at that point the bishop was talking about like in the spiritual. I don't know if it was a spiritual sense. I'm not him. We'd have to ask him.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty positive that interaction was more of a why are you helping her? And it's like, why would you not want to help her?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So let's come to date night, and you know we're just trying to get an idea about how it works, kind of what happened that night. I know it got shifted because of gymnastics.
Yep.
So, like typically on a typical date night when Jared would come and pick up the kids, how did it go from like start to end?
So he usually pulls up, texts here.
Mm-hmm.
The kids walk out, and we usually watch them get in the car. And then when they come home, they just come in. We've taught them how to have a keypad on the house.
Mm-hmm.
So if the garage is closed, they hit the keypad, or they just come in through the garage, and then we know they're home. And usually, like, the dogs lose their shit for a quick second, and we know they're home. And that's it. That's exactly how it goes.
Is there ever any communication about like where they're going or what they're gonna do or anything like that? Nothing like that.
Nope.
So let's go to that night.
We usually ask the kids,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, what are you guys thinking you're gonna do for date night? Where do you guys want to go eat? That way they can voice that to him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a bit annoying because before we've tried to kind of integrate that where it's like you guys can make choices too.
Yeah.
And then we'll be like, why don't you guys call him Tuesday, so that way you guys can, you know, be like, hey, we want to go here, and that way you have a good shot of going there if that's where you want to go. Because there have been times where like, oh well, I don't want to go there. Or we ended up going to this place and I didn't like it. Blah blah. You know, it's like, why don't you let them know ahead of time? You know, that'll work. It'll help you guys. And then they'll tell them, and then they're like, well, we'll think about it. And then that's not where they go.
So that decision was typically made by Jared without the kids' input?
Oh yeah.
Was it made like almost in spite, like, was he ever take their input, or was it just like, this is my show, I'm running it, I'm doing it?
I don't really know, to be honest. There were some times when it's like, actually I can't even remember any time that the kids were like, oh yeah, we asked to go here and that's where we went.
Yeah.
It was more of, oh, we went to Firehouse, and then they can agree to like Firehouse, so everybody's happy at that moment.
Right.
Yeah. So let's go back to that particular date night, and we're just kind of trying to work his night and figure out everything that happened. So he comes and picks the kids up at what time?
6:30.
6:30. He sends a text message saying,
Here.
I'm here. And then the kids run out, get in the car, and they leave.
Yep.
Right. And then what time did they come back?
7:45.
7:45. Okay. And did you see the kids come in?
No, I heard them come in because I was racked out on my couch. So they came in, shut the door. Dogs start barking. My dog starts barking, and that's how I know they're there. They come in, hi mom, bye, you know, and they both went upstairs. I got up, went to take a shower. And that's pretty much how we know they're there.
Yeah. So Shannon greeted them when they came in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you said they went upstairs. Did you talk to them at all that night, or?
Shanna did. I was really out of it, and I take gabapentin in high doses, and then at those moments I'm just like zoned out. So like that night, I was more out of it more than anything.
So you wouldn't remember the kids talking about anything that may have happened?
I would have, but I didn't. because they usually, by the time they come home, they get in, they either have another snack. I don't remember any of that because I was in the shower. They'll have another snack, then they'll go and shower and everything else and prep to go to sleep because they're in bed by 9.
Yeah.
So that hour and 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Technically, it was they drink water, they went upstairs, they had free time. Liam comes back downstairs to shower, and we just asked them, I was like, how's everything? How's date night? Actually, that was it. It was they told us they went to Bearded Pig, and that particular date night was fine, and that was it.
So they didn't remember anything that may have happened at the.
The only thing they mentioned was that Jared had a phone call, and they had to wait in the car. They couldn't go inside yet, so they just had to sit there and wait, and that was it.
This may just show my lack of knowledge of this, but what's gabapentin?
Gabapentin is it's like a nerve blocker.
Okay.
And it's for pain. So they give it to me for pain and for headaches.
Okay. Does it make you like groggy or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, depending on the amount that you take, like some of the pain numbs out. Like for me, at least, I have a really high dose just because of like stuff that's wrong with me, and they also can't figure it out.
Well, it's not good.
Yeah, it sucks, dude.
And so then I guess at that point, after that, I came and talked to you.
Right. So, but at that point, the kids were already asleep. I think, what did I do? I know I did laundry because there was laundry on the bed, and then I just sat there and I was talking to Shanna about all kinds of things. She was wrapping up an order and she put it outside because she said that her client was coming up to pick up an order that night, which is normal. That has happened before. And then it was more of she was just cleaning and we were just talking. She cleaned the kitchen. She cleaned some of her office, and then you guys rang the doorbell at 1 a.m. We're just getting ready to shut down, and I thought you guys were her client, and you rang the doorbell, and I was like, there's no way that your client just rang the doorbell at 1 a.m. What's going on?
Okay. Have the kids said anything recently in the last couple days of, maybe if they remember something?
Like a confrontation or something at the restaurant,
So,
or someone following them, or...
We asked them in regards to, was there anything different? And, they just kind of repeated that. All the only thing that really happened was that they had to wait in the car because he was on a business phone call, which, like, we asked him, like, does that happen? And they're like, yeah, sometimes we'll go eat, and then he has to take a phone call, and then he'll be on the phone for the majority of the time. Yeah. And that's just kind of it.
You mentioned something in the very beginning, the type of guy that Jared was. What did you mean by that? Like, tell me, was he like a confrontational person, or no?
No. If I had to ping him, he hated it. He was a keyboard warrior more than anything. Because that's what I got. That's all I got for 4 years straight. Is as long as he had a keyboard or he can text it, yeah, he would.
So I'm not going to confront you in person, but I'm going to go home and I'm going to chat it up and say what I want to say.
Because there was one particular time when there was some paperwork for Liam, and he specifically said, "Well, have Liam bring it out." And I'm like, dude, you don't fucking get to tell me what to do. Not in my house. So I walked that paperwork out, and I was like, oh, hey man, this is for Liam, and then check this is for this. Never made eye contact with me. Just looked at it, took it, and that was it.
Yeah.
Now, his wife, you can have a conversation with her. She'll talk to you or anything, but like, even if we have a doctor's appointment, if we're there, if Shanna's there, and particularly Shanna, he will walk right outside the door and stand there until the doctor comes in. Then he'll stand at the door, but he will not be in that room to interact or anything at all. It like eats him alive inside. And he's said it before, and he's told the kids, he's like, it makes me uncomfortable to be around your mom, and blah, 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 and it's fucking annoying.
Do the four go to the doctor a lot together? Or?
We used to, and then everything, of course, changed. But if I'm readily available, I'll always go. We had one particular instance where all four of us showed up because they were fighting to not put Liam on additional medication this is for ADHD.
Okay.
And he had shown signs, and he was lacking in school, So Shanna was now pushing it where it's like, let's get him some help. And the thing that pissed me off the most during that particular interaction is before we went to the doctor, I asked Liam straight up, I was like, hey man, do you feel like you're struggling in school? And he's like, yeah, I just can't do it. I don't know why I can't just do it.
Right.
So I told him, I was like, hey man, so here's what we're thinking. There's a medicine that might be able to help you focus. So, do you want help so that you can focus in school? And he's like, yeah, like, I'll do it. And for him, he's already on a series of meds, but he's done that pretty much his whole life.
Right.
So it was more of a, okay, we can add you another medicine. Are you comfortable with it in a sense? Because we want to test it out so that it helps you. And if it helps you, cool, we'll stay on it. And we got to the doctor, and just listening to them talk, they had the dumbest concerns. And if you read the evaluation, because we had to do a parent evaluation, the teachers had their evaluation, and then the doctors have their evaluation.
Right.
Ours, the teachers and the doctors, pretty much in line, the same shit. And if you read theirs, oh, he's a normal kid, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. I'm like, you don't fucking pay attention to your kid.
Right.
And then one of the things that he said during that time was, well, how am I supposed to talk to my kid because, he knows he's special because of his heart. And then, he's going to develop a complex if I have to put him on more medicine. And from Shanna's perspective of how she knows him to be, that particular thing was more of a, I don't want my kid to be on more medicine because of how it looks on me that my kid is on meds.
Right.
And I just kind of commandeered the moment. I was like, I already talked to Liam. I asked him if he wants help to focus in school, and there's a medicine that might help him. So he's on board because he wants to do better in school.
Mm-hmm.
So then they fought us because they were like, well, we want to get him evaluated. Great. But if you want that, you're paying for it.
Right.
I'm not paying for that shit because I can give this to him for a week, and if it doesn't work, we can adjust or we can get him off of it. And that's it. I did all the research. It would take like 4 months to get him evaluated, and then another month to 2 months to receive all the data and results.
Right.
So we were sitting here like, here you go. These are we gave them everything.
Let's do it the old school way. See if it works.
It's like here. If you want to do this is who you need to talk to. Here are the prices.
Mm-hmm.
We're not paying for it, but also know that Liam is going to suffer because he's waiting for this entire school year to get this shit done. I kid you not, and like Shanna, it's like Shanna's like absolute proof that like he should have been on this routine before, like a long time ago. But he took it, he started taking it, and 1 month later he won the spelling bee. He fucking crushed it. And I'm telling you, if you'd have seen him right before that, there was no way that kid could have pulled it off. It blew my fucking mind. I was like, dude, you did it. Like, you're on it. And he knows and understands it too. Like, he'll get to school if he missed the pill, and he'll talk to his teacher like, Mr. Shane, do you know if I took my medicine this morning? It's the fucking funniest shit. And he's like, well, did you? And he's like, I don't think so because like I just can't like sit down and stuff. And then get a text to Shanna, and it's like, hey, Liam doesn't think he took his meds this morning. She looks at the table, it's right there. And luckily, the school is right next to us, so we just walk it over. And so this is one of those things, man. And there's been a lot of other stuff. Liam recognizes a lot of things for himself and for his health, and we've taught him, like, hey, if you're feeling this type of way, you need to bring it to somebody's attention because he has a heart defect. And then when he gets out of breath, depending on how it goes, and he gets wheezy, he can feel it. And he feels heavy and tired.
Mm-hmm.
So there have been times, there was one particular time, we had just gone to date night with them, and they were on their week. And Liam told us, and we could hear it. You can hear the crackling in his lungs.
Mm-hmm.
So we let him know, hey, bud, go in there and just ask them to have a breathing treatment. And then if you're not feeling good in the morning, ask them to do another breathing treatment in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Good. And we sent a text, too. It's like, hey, Liam's breathing doesn't sound that great. You know, it's like, yeah, he's not feeling good, so make sure he gets a breathing treatment, whatever. We kind of pushed to reinforced it. And when he asked that following morning, because he wasn't feeling good, he said no. He said, take the other inhaler, and that is different than getting the breathing treatment.
Right,
it's
right.
two separate
Yeah.
things. And then he sent him to school. He got to school. He still wasn't feeling great. So he told his teacher, and he's like, hey, I asked my dad for a breathing treatment, and he told me no. Can my mom come here so I can get a breathing treatment? And luckily, the teacher that he asked understands that he's on the same style of breathing treatment, or I think his brother was, so he understood it. We rush over, get him to sit down, get him a breathing treatment. We bring him some food, and he's feeling better. And Shanna, she was proactive, and it's like, hey, we might want to get this looked at just in case, because we can't afford for Liam to have pneumonia. We can't. That shit, from all of my understanding in regards to Liam and his heart and lung condition, pneumonia will kill him. So why risk him getting any type of, lack of breathing?
Right.
So Shanna set up for him to go to the doctor and everything else for that same day. They lost their shit, and it's like, why would you do that without notifying us? Blah, blah. And it's like, I'm notifying you right now. And it's like, all you gotta do is pick him up and take him. Or we can take him and then drop him off at your house.
Right.
Nope. They didn't want to do that. And then he said that Liam told us that when they got in the car, he pretty much gaslit him. He told him that he was feeling fine and that he didn't hear anything wrong with him. And then he told Liam that Liam was lying. So then when he went in and talked to the doctor, Liam told him, Liam was kind of like forcing his cough.
Right.
And then the doctor obviously was like listening to him. Was like, yeah, you're kind of pushing it, bud. No, just relax. And then Liam straight up asked the doctor, like, you can tell that I have a cough, right? But obviously, since we gave him breathing treatment, his lungs are wide open, so he's good at that moment. And it was just a fucking shit show with that. And that's how the interactions go. That's how things with the kids go. Like, and it's a constant back and forth. Abigail I don't even know if she's gonna do it anymore, but she was taking an interest in being proactive in the church. We thought it was fine. We didn't mind. However, we know that they've implemented certain things on the kids and hovered the church over their head, and that's just not how it should be introduced for a child. So we decided, hey, you know what? If Abigail wants to do it, we can take her on our side over here in our weeks. And Shanna was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. That way I can teach her the difference of how it can be.
Right.
Abigail wanted to get baptized, so we told her, it's like, that's fine. Just make sure you learn and understand what you're committing to. So as she was learning on that, she's like, oh God, I want you guys to go, and I want to do it at this place, and I want Grandma and Grandpa to go, from Shanna's mom and dad. So she sat there, they went on a date night, and she told Jared, hey, like, this is where I want to do it, and I want, Grandma and Grandpa Gardner to be there, I want Shanna Murray to be there. And Jared just kind of destroyed that vision where he was like, Abigail, this is very important for me. I only get to do this once with you. And also, I don't like your grandparents, I can't even remember the reason what he said. And then he added on, it's like, and I really don't like your mom. And if they're there, they're going to ruin the family trip, is what he told her. And it's just aggravating because all of that was about him and not about her at that moment.
Right.
And Liam wanted to say something. Liam was there. And he wanted to say something, and he felt bad because he didn't say anything. And when he told me about it, I told him, bud, you did the right thing. Because if you would have said something at that moment, he would have freaked the fuck out on you, and that's just not worth it. I was like, so you did the right thing, and thank you for telling me.
Right.
But that's more or less how the interactions with the kids went. There was a lot of fighting. And if you guys were to reach out to Dr. Mercedes, I mean, she can kind of give you the rest because the kids talk about them. They talk about us, and it's fine because it's that split household thing.
Yeah.
But there have been lots and lots of moments where he just beats into them and then feeds them just wild information. And then when they come back to our house, we're doing damage control. Damn near every week. It's just a reset. That Monday and Tuesday is always rough because we got to get them back on board. And I mean, it shows. It shows in their academics. It shows when they go and talk to people. They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, your kids, like they're great. Oh, but I saw them last week. Like, what was wrong?"
Right.
And then when you look at their academics, it's the same thing. Throughout the years, They're on their weeks, and you look at whatever they're doing, there's a struggle because there's no assistance.
Mm-hmm.
We have to fight. We had to take them to court to get them into the school. And he argued that we were uprooting the kids and that it was too far for him to drive over there.
Right.
And we flat out told him, it's like, we'll pay for the whole school. It's $15,000 per kid.
Right.
So we told him, like, we'll pay for the whole school and like, you know, we'll need help with some supplies. That's it. Like, that's all we're asking of you. And then how it ended up, like, settling that was Shanna gave up child support, which was a fucking joke. And that pretty much as soon as he stopped having to pay for child support, he was like, okay, well, then the kids can go.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. But they had real no involvement with the school, nothing like that. I mean, their teachers can also tell you about the interactions with them, where it's like, it's normal, but it's not friendly. You know, it's like, oh, we want to know. Okay, great. Like, they can have a conversation with them 100%. But if we're around, shit turns completely different.
So, like, parent-teacher conference and stuff, do they not participate in that, or do they do it separately, or?
They can sign up for a separate time. I think there's only been one time, and it was in the middle of COVID, where we all did it together.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes fine, but they don't sit there to, you know, they do it the roundabout way. So because we're on opposite ends and the teacher's present,
yeah,
if we say something, they will find a roundabout way to ask us a question, but it's through the teacher.
Gotcha. They won't directly
Hell no.
basically.
Nope.
Well, it sounds like you guys had a pretty rough relationship for as far as the kids were concerned there.
It was a pain in the ass, man.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, like, the last thing that was happening on our end in regards with the kids, he was fighting to get the kids off of Dr. Mercedes' care, their therapist. He wanted to end the kids going to therapy.
Okay.
He wanted it to stop. And he was saying that he had never agreed to it, and that they go and tell the kids, or I don't know if he thought that we were in there with the kids. The kids go in there by themselves. We're not in there. We usually go in first and we talk to Dr. Mercedes and we kind of give her an update of like what's going on.
Right.
From there we step out, the kids go in there and they chat with her. And they are just open books in regards to what they taught her. That's on them. And it's just to help them along. Outside of that though, he wanted it to stop because at one point or another, he knew that the kids were talking about him.
So that's why he wanted to stop.
And he wanted it to stop. And then he sent us a thing through his lawyer. We forwarded it to our lawyer, and our lawyer was more or less like, is this real? Is this serious? And our lawyer legitimately told us that he ignored it because he didn't think it was serious. And like, he waited out the time.
Right.
So then they went in, he went back in and got serious. It was like, I haven't received a response and blah, blah, blah. And we asked our lawyers, like, hey, can you respond to this? Because this is getting out of hand now, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Our lawyer was prepared to be like, I hope this goes forward so I could just crush him in court.
Yeah.
We were hoping that he was going to push it so that we could file a social investigation against him. Because up to pretty much this point, the primary goal, because it wasn't amicable and because of how they're being with the kids, we were more or less fighting for the kids to have a chance and for Shanna to have majority decision making. And if she could have more timeshare on her end, if it was like 60-40 or whatever, if we could bend it just enough, it'd be great because the kids would be better off.
Right.
You know, and if we could push them into the corner of all the interaction with the kids, we all need to be together.
Yeah.
So they could just suck it. And I don't care if they're suffering because they're uncomfortable. I'd much rather it all be right there in one, so if they say something dumb, I can I'm confrontational. I don't care about that. So I could be like, no, hell no, dude, we're not doing that.
Right.
And I can shut him down and the kids can see, hey, like, not this. We can do it this way.
Right.
And we'll all be here, so there's no, oh, well, they said, no. That shit was just so annoying to me. But that's what we were fighting for. And I was hoping that, like, hey, all right, I'm prepared. We got everything we kind of need. If he pushes for this therapy thing, it'd be absolutely hilarious because we'll get crushed. And then we could push for a social investigation.
Yeah.
was there an incident, I'm talking about kids, man, was there an incident with Jared and Liam involving something with Valentine's Day? Chocolate in the bed or something like that?
I don't know about that particularly. I'm pretty sure that sounds kind of like Liam, like he would steal chocolate and eat it. He does that. He'll like sneak into our pantry like early in the morning before people wake up, and he'll go in there and like he's been caught at our house. I'm pretty sure he's done that similar over there.
Yeah.
I don't know anything specific about that.
You didn't hear anything about. Okay. And then my other question, man, and it's about my last question. Now, knowing Jared and knowing, kind of who he is and knowing what happened, what do you think happened to him?
Oh, shit, man. I mean, it's a big speculation. Like, Shanna's parents came to spend time with Shanna and the kids, and help them throughout all of this. And, when you guys showed up, I felt like everything you guys asked were, like, pretty basic questions. Like, substance abuse, did he have any enemies, stuff like that. But it's one of those things where it's just like, man, you need to get in line. Because I know people that don't like him. I told you I don't like him in particular. I don't care for that dude. But as far as, like, I haven't heard anything directly out of you guys, Like, I haven't been told anything. It's just what you can read and what you can find online. And it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't understand why he got out of the car. The only thing I can think of is he knew somebody that was right there in front of him, because I can't think of any other reason for you to get out of your vehicle. If someone approaches your vehicle and you don't know them, or they want to get in your car, you're just going to speed away.
Right.
Or if they're in front of you, or like, if something's about to go down right in front of you, I'd rather run that person over. I will 100% just hit the gas. If I don't know them, there's no reason to get out of the car. None. I can't. So outside of that, outside of he knew who was there or whatever, I don't know enough about the guy to know what he's involved in or what he could have been involved.
Who, you just said you knew a bunch of people that didn't like him, like who?
Shit, man. I mean, like, people from his church.
From his church down in St. Louis County?
Yeah. Like, and it's a lot because of the people that know Shanna, and because those same people that know Shanna, for instance, right now, he passed away, so his wife, I'm pretty sure Shanna told you, but his wife texted Shanna that they could come and pick up the kids for their ceremony, for the funeral, and that they would drop them off when they were done. And it was like, we're going because we're going to be with the kids. And they're going to
perfect sense.
And they're going to stand right next to us. And we even spoke to the therapist about it. It's like, Shanna's the mom. You're not going to take that away from the kids or from Shanna. And we want them to go because they have to have that closure. They have to have something to let go of, and then say their goodbyes, pay respects. I was all in for that. She straight up was like, you are not welcome here. You've been vile to him and blah, blah, blah. And it's crazy because when we let her come into our house that following morning after you told us when we were going to break the news to the kids, she asked, she's like, could I be there when the kids, when you tell the kids? And we were like, yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Right.
So it's like beyond that, like friends of Shanna that still practice and are in that church, they also received notice that they are not allowed to attend the public service for Jared. And it goes like that. It's more of like people that know of Jared through Shanna and have experienced who Jared is, they don't like him.
Right.
So that's kind of where the list goes. It's more of like through Shanna's contacts, and it's like, it's not even her friends or closer circle of friends, it's like acquaintances.
Right.
Shanna used to be a teacher. A lot of those kids go through that church. So, like, she knows them from those interactions where it's like, oh, I know this mom. I used to teach her kid. Hey, we can have a friendly chat. All of a sudden, they are alienated because they had a chat with Shanna. So they can't have anything to do with the family, with Jared's family. And even right now, the kid's grandparents, Jared's parents, they came all the way from Germany. Not one of them has contacted us to ask us about the kids. Not one.
Yeah.
And that also happened to Jared's brother. Jared's brother left the church, so they 100% nixed him. Him and his kids, so the other grandchild, they pretty much don't exist. And that's just kind of how the family tree is in that sense. And then right now, Kirsten, to me, well, she writes his emails, and we can tell the difference.
Right.
We know it's her. And, like, right now, she doesn't have any leash anymore because there's no restriction. And she's just being a total bitch.
Kirsten is?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Like, for her to tell Shanna that she can't go and that she can come and pick up the kids and they'll return them at their own leisure or whatever.
It seems a little unfair considering if you guys let her come into
Exactly.
your house and be there and...
Man, it's super annoying because even when she showed up to the house, we told her, like, we're going to have a chat outside before you come in.
Yeah.
Make sure we're all on the same page. So one of the first things that comes out of her mouth is like, I know that over the years it's been rough, but, I want you guys to know that Jared did love you guys and always wanted to be friends. And I'm sitting there like, I was looking at Shanna, and I was just like, Shanna told me to not say anything, so I didn't.
Right.
I was like, I'll be nice just because of what's happening, and the kids are more important. But at that point, I just want to be like, shut your mouth, because you're lying, and do not come in my house with that bullshit and say some stupid shit to the kids.
Right.
So we just kind of deviated. Shanna deviated that moment and was like, we just want to make sure that she said it. She's like, I am going to let the kids know what happened, and we're going to leave the floor open for them to ask questions because the questions are going to pour in. We're going to keep it simple. So we sat around my table. Shanna let them know. The kids had their moment, and they started asking questions, and I opened it up. After that, I did the follow-up because Shanna was crying. And then it was what's going to happen, like, with our little sisters, because I have 2 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So we let them know, we reassured them, it's like, as long as Kirsten's available and, we can settle on times and stuff like that, like, we'll take you. And we've taken the kids to their house so they could see their sisters in this, it's been almost, 2 weeks now?
Yeah.
And this, the very first, like, within the first 3-4 days.
How did that go? When you went over there?
Well, here's the other part. So, she knew we were coming, and we gave her a heads up, and she texted Shanna, and she said, well, I don't know if she said I want to keep it brief, but she said, it's been very overwhelming right now, so, we also let her know that, my in-laws were with us, so we didn't want to impose, so we'll make it brief. The kids, Abigail made like an entire basket, a gift basket of like, here, have this, and this is for their little sisters and stuff like that, and we pull up to the house. Her parents are there. They have 2 friends there. The kids are playing in the front yard. It didn't seem very overwhelming at all, or like she was alienating anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
We had a conversation with her parents. Her mom was very, again, it's a speculation, but it's like, she didn't seem to care about Jared because they're from Seattle.
Right.
And she was just like, stuff like this happens. That's exactly what came out of her mouth. And she's sitting there talking to my in-laws. But then she like rerouted the entire thing, and her mom started talking about, we lost one of our grandsons in Texas, and that's when she got emotional. But it was no direction of anything with Jared.
Right.
And then when we told her that Kirsten had told us, she told us she was overwhelmed, so we didn't want to impose and be here for too long. And her mom just looked confused as hell. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. And then now, after the funeral thing, we are doing our own thing with the kids. Shanna yesterday had the kids write letters, and we burned them, and we took the ashes, and Shanna took out the kids to the beach so they could bury them.
Mm-hmm.
And in like another, not this weekend, but the following weekend, we're gonna do more or less like a celebration of life, and give some time for Shanna's family to come here to Florida because they're all from Utah, and we're all gonna spend time with the kids and let them know, like, hey, like, you have a support system. We're all here for you guys.
Right.
We like this, and this is gonna be our normal, more or less. But it's been hella weird. It's super weird what happened to him. I can only like imagine certain weird shit. But for sure, for someone to get out of the car, like, that shit makes no sense.
Right.
I do not get it.
Yeah. It's weird for sure.
Everything is like, someone was there waiting for him, and he definitely knew them. 100%. because even if they were in front or they were behind them, whatever the hell, if he knew them and there was about to be trouble, he could just back that car up and get the hell out of there.
Right.
Or if they were behind him, he just floored it. Or if they were on foot, he could have floored it. You know, I'm sitting here thinking of situations like, how would I handle something that's about to endanger me, and I have my kid in the back? Hell no.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But what happened with him is strange. His family, they're acting like assholes. Kirsten's an asshole right now. Like, I just don't like any of them right now. I'm more focused on trying to get a routine, not just for the kids, but also for Shanna, because she's overwhelmed in the sense of she's trying to absorb all the kids' emotions when they are feeling overwhelmed. Like, they're having nightmares, shit like that, and I expect that.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also like certain things are happening where it's like, oh, well, we're going to do this, and it's we don't have to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't have to do that anymore because there's no split. There is no, we have to do it our way and walk on eggshells because they're going to go back to their house and they have their way.
Right.
It's just our way, and I have to, like, remind Shanna, it's like, hey, you got to get a hold of this and, like, instill your discipline now, because that's what the kids are going to know.
Right.
And that has been the most difficult part. The kids, they have bounced back pretty well because they're not there every day,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not getting bombarded with the mourning of it every single day. They've been able to move forward, and, like, the school has been great, being that it's a private school and it's a lot smaller. Like, the head of the school is involved and she knows about the kids. She introduced them to a grief counselor, and we have access to that resource because of the school.
Right.
We have access to those teachers, and they love the kids. And that was another thing that happened. Kirsten called the school, talked to the headmistress, literally yelled at her for putting out information to the parents, which we gave to the school. We let them know, it's like, hey, the kid's dad passed away. Please inform the teachers,
Mm-hmm.
so that way they can pass it on to the parents. That way their kids aren't insensitive to our kids.
Of course.
And we can prepare our kids better so they can get back in the routine of going to school. And when she released the letter, the head of the school, Kirsten lost her shit. She yelled at her, like, how dare you, like, I'm going to instill some law where you can't pass that information. She's like, I'm going to sue the school. And then when the head of the school told us about it, we were just like, what the hell is going on right now?
Yeah. Maybe just emotions, I guess. I don't know. But,
I don't get it, man.
yeah.
I don't get it. A lot of this, I would say, the only thing that I am concerned about is I don't know what Jared was into. So I don't know if this is going to affect us in any way outside of coming here to talk to you guys. We don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine, because we don't know shit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, since we don't know anything, how does that affect my family right now?
Of course.
And it's been a concern for my parents, or for my in-laws, because of the fact that, like, they're wealthy people, and anything to do with Jared has always been more or less he doesn't like Shanna, and everything else that they dealt with was about money.
Right.
During the divorce, my in-laws, they paid for his school, and they've paid for all the son-in-law's school, because they have nothing but daughters.
Right.
And he tried to sue them because his lifestyle was about to change during the divorce. So it's just like, a lot of the stuff with him, and from what they know of him, he was very money-driven in that sense. But anything past that, we just don't know shit. How could this affect Shanna and the kids? I don't know. I don't know if he was involved with something that is to deal with money, and now because he's gone, is this going to affect Shanna in some way, shape, or form? You know?
Yeah, I'd like to be able to tell you that we have all the answers, but we don't.
Right. Everybody's just kind of lost right now, and like, so, yeah, I don't know anything else that I can answer for you guys, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if I find something out that I can give some concrete information, I'll let you know, but
Please.
right now that's not the case.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But hey, thank you so much for coming down. I know it's not what anyone wants to do, come spend their day with us, but
no,
we do appreciate it.
and trust me, we get it. Like, when Shanna told me, she said, hey, one of the detectives just called me, and they want to talk to us. So, like, I was like, well, I can't do it right now. They're always welcome. I was like, could they come over? Like, you guys have come over before, and we're right there.
Yeah.
I thought you meant downtown.
No,
by the way, and I was
yeah,
oh shit, we're gonna have to make time.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why we pushed it for today.
Yeah.
And then the rest of that was like Shanna was like, well, what could we tell them? And I told her, I was like, we tell them what we know, which is our interactions with Jared, how Kirsten is being a total bitch right now, and how this has been. For me, this has only been for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
For Shanna, it's been like 7, 8 years. And then before the divorce, it was everything that she dealt with him.
Right.
So...
Yeah. Well, like I told Shannon, we don't know what we don't know until we know it, so we don't know what's going to help and what isn't. So
right.
At this point, we're just trying to get to know Jared, because if he was into something, the only way we're going to find out about it is to find out his background and
right.
stuff. So.
Right.
But we really do appreciate him.
Absolutely.
Yep. Walk you out.
Detective Johns, how many questions do you think you asked during that interview?
Maybe 3 or 4.
Your Honor, I think now would be a good time to take a break.
Do you have much more?
I probably have 30 minutes left.
Okay. Is the jury okay? Okay. You can keep going.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Stifler, you can proceed.
Yes, sorry, I was waiting for Ms. Simpkins. All right, Detective Johns, following that interview, or on that day, did you also schedule for AB and LB to come for a interview with the Child Protection Team, which are the people who interview young children?
Yes, we did.
And what date was that interview for the children scheduled to take place?
I believe it was March 2nd.
So following your interview with Mr. Fernandez and Ms. Gardner, and your investigation and identification of the blue truck and the investigation into the 10mm firearm, is it fair to say that the investigation ran a little cold up until July of 2022 when Detective Burrell found that tire at 5239 Potomac Avenue?
Yes, that's correct.
When he found that tire, briefly give the jury an idea into the investigation that you began into a man named Henry Tenen.
Like I said, up until that point, we were kind of running out of leads. We didn't really know where to go. We were continuously trying to find this truck, but weren't having a whole lot of luck with it. So we start looking at just kind of ancillary people that we didn't think were going to be that really important to our overall investigation. And while Detective Lamont and Detective Burrell were interviewing Mr. Ordway at the Potomac address, Detective Burrell, as he's already testified to, found this tire. He thought the tire looked similar to the one that was left on the scene, so he decided to bring it back to the police station.
And you already previously testified that you were able to compare the DOT numbers and see that they were manufactured at the same factory the same week.
Correct.
I want you to give me a brief overview into your investigation into an individual by the name of Henry Tenen. What did you start pulling in regards to Mr. Tenen?
Well, we initially didn't know that Mr. Tenen was related to the tire until later we found out that we went back and talked to Mr. Ordway some more and said, hey, where did this tire come from? And we realized that Henry Tenen's father actually owned a blue Ford Lariat. And that's when we started making this connection that, oh, wow, this truck is the one that matches the one we're seeing on surveillance. The tire found on the road belonged to a Ford F-150 of the same make and model. So then we started looking into Mr. Tenen as far as his financials, toll records, our phone records, everything that we'd normally do when we start looking at somebody.
Did you you mentioned pulling his financial records. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but did you also pull his phone records?
Yes, we did.
Did you identify him as having phone contact with the defendant in this case, Mario Fernandez-Saldana, leading up to the homicide?
Yes.
And the jury's going to hear from a witness later about those phone records, but was that of significance to you in your investigation?
Yes, it was.
Did you identify Mr. Tenen as having lived at the house at 5239 Potomac Avenue at some point?
Yes, he was a prior tenant.
Were you able to figure out where he was living when he came onto your radar as a serious suspect in July of 2022?
He was still living at the same residence. He just wasn't the listed tenant.
And at this point, you had not identified the shooter that we saw on the compilation video earlier.
Correct.
But you were aware that the shooter that you saw on video appeared to be a tall black male.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you describe for the jury Mr. Tenen's physical appearance?
He is a very broad-shouldered, very tall black male.
Did you also, did you consider interviewing Mr. Tenen as a suspect in the case at that point?
At that time, we felt like he was probably a very good chance that he was somehow at least involved in this. So when we have a suspect like that, what we like to do is kind of take a step back and learn as much about them as we can before we just go in and start questioning them.
And to learn as much about him as you can, did you interview people that were associated with him?
Well, first we pulled his financials and records and all that stuff, and then we started talking to the people who knew him.
Did that include individuals he worked with and his bosses at his job?
Yes.
Where did you discover Mr. Tenen worked when you were investigating him?
Sorry. Monessen Pallets.
Where is Monessen Pallets?
Maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles from the Potomac residence.
So that would be in the northwest quadrant of Jacksonville, Florida?
That's correct.
At some point, did you decide to further your investigation by placing Henry Tenen under arrest for charges other than the homicide you were investigating?
Yes, part of, once we realized that he was a suspect and likely had some type of involvement in this, we did start surveilling him, and eventually we knew that he did not have a valid driver's license and had been a habitual traffic offender, so we decided at that point to go ahead and arrest him.
And what charges did you arrest him on?
Felony DWLS, or driving while license is suspended, and then I believe he was also charged with having a firearm as a convicted felon.
And the firearm he had, was that a firearm you actually collected during his arrest?
Yes, it was, I believe it was actually ruled as an antique shotgun.
It was not a handgun or a 10-millimeter firearm?
No.
Was it operable?
I don't believe so.
Did it meet the legal definition of firearm such that you all could proceed with that investigation?
No.
Briefly describe for the jury how it was that you came to get Mr. Tenen into custody.
We coordinated with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, since he lives in their jurisdiction, we kind of met with the Sheriff's Office, described how he was a suspect in our investigation. They agreed to essentially conduct the traffic stop and then bring him back to the Crime Gun Intelligence Center here at the State Attorney's Office so that we could interview him.
And the Crime Gun Intelligence Center is a substation of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office?
Correct.
Basically?
Yes.
When you brought Mr. Tenen back, were you able to obtain a DNA swab from him?
Yes, we did.
And were you able to obtain a cell phone from his person?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
When you arrested Mr. Tenen in August for driving on a suspended license, what vehicle was he driving?
He was driving a white Ford Crown Victoria.
Did he have a set of keys in his pocket?
Yes, he did.
And did those keys belong to a Crown Vic?
No.
What vehicle did they belong to?
The Ford F-150.
I'm showing you what's been marked as and entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 192. Can you tell me what this is?
Those are the truck keys.
And are these truck keys you recovered from the person of Mr. Tenen during his arrest?
Yes.
And I'm showing you what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 95. Is this a swab of Mr. Tenen's cheek?
Yes.
And is this how you obtain an individual's DNA?
Yes.
And did you or one of your detectives, did you take the swab yourself?
I collected the swab.
And then here we have what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 127. Is this a cell phone that you took off Mr. Tennant's person during his arrest in August of 2022?
Yes.
Do you remember the date he was arrested for the DWSR?
I'd have to check the exact date. I know it was in August, but you want me to check?
Sure.
It was August 18th.
August 18th, 2022. And then I'm also showing you State's Exhibit 193. Is this a swab that was taken from those silver Ford keys that were recovered from Mr. Tennant's person during his arrest on August 18th?
Yes.
Once you collected those keys, these swabs, and Mr. Tennant's cell phone, were you able to do search warrants for cellular site location information for the number associated with the phone that you recovered?
Yes, we did.
Were you able to do a forensic download of that cell phone?
Yes.
We'll hear more about that later from a different witness, the expert witness on that. But overall, in general, did the cell site data from Mr. Tennant's cell phone place him in Jacksonville Beach the night of February 16th, 2022?
Yes, it did.
And did you send Mr. Tennant's DNA swab to the lab at ATF for comparison against the swab from the tire recovered from the crime scene and the swab of his vehicle keys?
Yes, we did.
What were the results that were relayed to you? Was Mr. Tennant's DNA included on that tire and those keys?
Yeah, not using the language the analysts would
They're going to
probably
hear
use.
from the DNA expert.
Okay.
But
Yes, it was basically a matched.
in terms of your investigation, were you able to confirm at that point, based on the cell site location data, the appearance of the shooter on camera, and those DNA results that Henry Tennant, you believed at that point in your investigation to be the shooter?
Yes, that's correct.
So did you obtain a search warrant for Henry Tennant's belongings at 5239 Potomac Avenue?
Yes.
And do you recall what date it was that you executed the search warrant at Potomac Avenue?
I'm just going to look at my record real quick. It's been in October. It was October 5th.
Okay. I'm showing you, I'm going to go through some photographs fairly quickly and go through some items you collected at the house. This is States 101. Is this 5239 Potomac Avenue?
Yes, it is.
And does this picture accurately and fairly depict how the house looked and the appearance of the house in October of 2022?
Yes, it is.
And in States 102, are we just seeing another view of that home?
Correct. This is the angle from the other side of that vehicle.
States 103, is this the entrance of the house?
Yes.
Entryway into the home?
Correct.
104, we see some bedrooms and we see that the tile has been ripped up off the floor.
Correct.
105, there is, how many bedrooms are in this house total?
I believe there are 3 bedrooms. This is just another view of that same hallway.
All right. 106, as I go through these, if you could just briefly narrate for the jury.
Yeah, this is just the bathroom.
107,
One of the other bedrooms.
108.
Another bedroom.
In States 109, was there mail for this address in Mr. Tennant's name at the residence?
Correct.
110, more mail in Mr. Tennant's name. 111, what is this we're looking at?
This is just the kitchen.
112.
Another picture of the bathroom.
113, we see the bathroom and the sink is broken.
Correct.
States 114, is this the interior of the garage?
That's correct.
115, another view of the garage.
Yes.
116, inside the garage looking out.
Yes.
117, if you're standing inside the garage, the left-hand side of the garage.
Correct.
States 118. Were you directed to this particular area by the current tenants of the home who had moved in after Mr. Tennant's arrest?
He stated that that's where a lot of Mr. Tennant's belongings have been placed.
Okay, so you specifically were looking in the garage in this area based on what these tenants told you where to look.
That's correct.
In 119, we see a pair of, or one boot. Was that boot later collected by evidence technicians that were present with you during the execution of the search warrant?
Yes.
And 119, I'm sorry, that was 119, 120?
Correct. The other boot.
121, what are we seeing?
Just another angle of the boot.
122,
Correct.
and 123 is the back of those boots.
That's correct.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
What was significant about these boots that made you all collect them?
They appeared to match the same boots that were in the video collected from Grande of the gentleman walking away from the crime scene.
And by gentleman, you mean the individual, the shooter?
Yes.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to help me with this. Uh-oh. Okay. Just right here is fine. You can put it right here for now.
Sure.
Detective Johns, if you stand up, can you see the boots that are here?
I can see them.
Okay.
Those are the same boots we collected.
These are the boots that are collected. And you believe them to be consistent with the boots you can see on the shooter on the surveillance video the jury's watched previously?
That's correct.
Did you also collect a jacket in the home?
Yes.
And why did you collect, well, you collected several jackets, but in particular in examining these jackets afterwards, and this is States 128, what was significant about this particular jacket?
It also appeared to match the jacket that was being worn by the shooter.
I'm not sure. Could you do that? I think when he was answering, there's some.
Yes, it appeared to be the same jacket that was being worn by the shooter in the video.
I'm going to go through the rest of these photos fairly quickly. States 124, is that the cell phone that you previously identified?
That's another cell phone, I believe.
I'm sorry, you're correct. Did you also collect a cell phone in the belongings of Henry Tennant? You took one off his person in August, and in October, did you find one with his belongings in the garage?
Yes, that's correct.
And this is a cool pad cell phone. Did you also send this to the computer forensics unit with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for forensic examination?
Yes, we did.
And we'll hear more about that later. The jury's going to hear from ATF about the recovery of the blue two-toned truck. But I want you to explain to the jury how it was that you eventually located the suspect vehicle in this case.
Once I received Mr. Tennant's financial records, I located a transaction for a tow service. We then used his toll records and his data, location data, to basically see where he was at on that day, and we were able to track down the location of the truck.
And where was the truck located?
It was off of, it was at his friend's house, Mr. Jones' residence off University. I don't remember the exact address. I can look for you.
Did you actually go to the search warrant for that truck?
Yes, I did.
To recover the truck?
Yes.
Okay. Was that at 1705 University Street?
Yes.
And was that truck sealed, towed, and processed at the Jacksonville Beach Police Department's secured lot?
Yes, it was.
And were you present for the processing of that truck?
Yes.
I'm going to go through some. This is States 144. It's a picture of those keys I just showed you. Were you able to unlock the vehicle with those keys?
Yes.
We're seeing here States Exhibit 145. Is this the Ford F-150 that you recovered at 1705 University Street and processed at Jacksonville Beach?
Yes, that's correct.
And we can see that it is in fact a Ford two-toned F-150. And does this truck have a tag number that matches the registration to Henry Tennant's father, Henry Clement Tennant?
Yes, it does.
States 147, we see that the vehicle has been sealed. Is that what these stickers indicate?
That's correct.
States 148 is the bed of the truck.
Correct.
States 149, what are we looking at here?
It was a spare tire that was underneath the truck.
And States 150.
It's the interior from the driver's door.
States 151.
The rear seat from the driver's side.
And States 152.
The box that is believed to have contained the boots.
And Mr. Mizrahi is going to Vanna White for me and show you what's been marked as Exhibit 168. Is that the box collected from the vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Or was the box collected from the vehicle? Exhibit 153, what are we looking at here?
It's the passenger side front seat.
States 154.
Passenger side back seat.
States 155. Can you explain to the jury what you found in the truck that you believe to be of evidentiary value and led to further investigation?
So if you've ever had business checks, they typically come with a stub that the business owner can retain so they can write a record of who they wrote the check to. This was found inside the truck and is basically the stub off of 3 business checks, but all 3 of them are still intact.
I'm going to show this. This is State's Exhibit 167. Are these the 3 check stubs that you recovered in the vehicle?
Yes, they are.
The same ones depicted in this photograph. Were you able to find the corresponding deposits for those check numbers in Mr. Tennan's financial records?
Yes.
And you're going to testify a little bit later about that, but to spoil the ending, were those checks written to Mr. Tenon by the defendant, in this case, Mario Fernandez?
Yes, they were.
Okay, and we're seeing in States 156 a photograph of a steering wheel. Was the interior of Mr. Tenon's vehicle swabbed for the presence of DNA?
Yes, it was.
How many swabs were there approximately taken that day?
Dozens.
I'm going to ask you about one in particular, States Exhibit 169. This is a swab from the steering wheel taken by an evidence technician, Ashley Hawkins. Were you present when she took the swabs of the interior of the vehicle, including this one of the steering wheel?
Yes, I was. And yes, that is it.
And did you also submit these swabs, and in particular this one, to ATF for forensic testing?
Yes, we did.
And as I stated, we'll hear from the analyst, but were you also advised at some point during your investigation that Henry Tenon's DNA was included on this swab from the steering wheel as depicted in States 156?
Yes.
States 157, what are we looking at here?
There's contents inside the vehicle, or from the vehicle.
States 158?
Same thing, statement for child support, I believe.
States 158, and that is under the name of Henry Tenon with the address of 5239 Potomac Ave.
Correct.
States 159, we see that there was some mailers in Mr. Tenon's vehicle in the name of Mario Fernandez with the address of 5239 Potomac Ave.
That's correct.
And those could
Junk
be
mail.
junk mail. States 160, are these more items from the interior of the vehicle?
Correct.
States 161, we see a JEA bill for Henry Tenon at 5239 Potomac.
Yes, that's correct.
And again, we see in States 152 another JEA bill for Henry Tenon at 5239 Potomac.
Yeah, it's the same bill, just a different photo.
And here, the vehicle registration for the Ford F-150 under Henry Clement Tenon was actually located inside this truck.
That's correct.
Here we see, is that a picture of that here in States 163?
Yes.
And did you do investigation into Mr. Tenon's father, Henry Clement Tenon?
We knew he was deceased, but no, we didn't really do any kind of investigation.
That was my question. Was he alive during the murder of Jared Bridegan?
No.
He had passed away prior to Jared's death.
That's correct.
We see in States 164, IRS paperwork for Henry Tenon at 5239 Potomac Ave. And
That's
then
correct.
What are we seeing here in States 165?
It's a paycheck stub from Monis & Pallets for Mr. Tenon.
And it says Henry Tenon, 5239 Potomac Avenue, earnings for piecework. Was he paid by the piece, I guess, for his labor at Monis & Pallets?
As I understand it, yes. So
What are we seeing here in States 166?
it's would probably be an ATM receipt for a cash withdrawal from PNC Bank.
And so this ATM receipt was located in the blue Ford F-150?
That's correct.
And the date and transaction for this
March.
transaction, you'll testify about that later. States Exhibit 200, who is this?
That's Mr. Henry Tenon.
So as you were collecting this information and receiving cell site data results, placing Mr. Tenon in Jacksonville Beach the night of Jared Bridegan's murder, DNA results for the tire left at the crime scene, the truck and the keys, and other information, did you make the decision to arrest Henry Tenon for the murder of Jared Bridegan?
Yes, we did.
Did you immediately arrest him after receiving this information?
No.
Can you explain to the jury what investigative technique or step you decided to utilize concurrent with the arrest of Henry Tenon?
We decided to use the arrest as what they call a tickle because we were going to do a T3 wire, or what is commonly referred to as a wiretap, on people that we believed were also involved in the homicide.
So this is the last area of your testimony we're going to get to today. And I want to ask you a little bit about what a wiretap is. Can you explain to the jury what a wiretap is?
It is the most intrusive thing that the government could probably do to a person, and that is to listen to your private phone conversations. It's something that we take very seriously. There's a long process. A written affidavit has to go before the state attorney, who has to sign off on it, and then go before a judge. And only then, if it's approved, do we get the authorization to listen to these telephone conversations.
In this case, when did you decide to arrest Mr. Tenen? What was the, target date for his arrest to complete this wiretap?
I believe it was in August. I'm going to check my notes here.
I'm sorry, not the decision to seek the wiretap, the date that Mr. Tenen was going to be arrested while the wiretap was up and running.
Give me 1 second. Just want to check my notes. It was in January 25th that he was arrested, and that was what we used to kind of get the wire going.
So you mentioned that a wiretap is probably the most intrusive act the government can do to its own citizens. How do you get authority to conduct a wiretap? Do you just set it up and...
Basically, you have to prove that you've tried everything else possible to solve a crime and that nothing else has really kind of worked. But you have to also kind of show that people have a tendency to talk about a crime. That's not really generally true of homicides. However, we had seen in past times that the other suspects that we were targeting had talked about the homicide. So we basically drafted an affidavit that said, hey, we've tried everything we can to bring this case to justice. We've been unsuccessful at doing so. We do believe that by this specific action will generate conversations that will be relevant to our investigation, not just any conversation. And then we basically write an affidavit stating all of this, how we plan to do it, and then rules are drafted as to what we can listen to, what we can't listen to, and usually for a very specific period of time.
Who runs the wiretap?
I mean, it is really the judge's wiretap.
You have to seek judicial approval to go up on a wire.
That's correct.
And in this case, did you seek judicial approval to go up on a wire for several persons of interest and or suspects?
Yes, we did.
And what were the names of the individuals that you were seeking approval for to wiretap their phones?
Shanna Gardner, Mr. Fernandez, a couple of Ms. Gardner's siblings or associates, Kim Jensen, Jeremy Ordway, John Biggerstaff.
And those were individuals that were relevant to your investigation that you believed would communicate with each other?
That's correct.
The focus for a wiretap is on specific individuals, but do you just put their names in the affidavit? How do you identify who you'll be listening to?
Well, first we have to basically identify that the number that we have for that person is actually associated with that person. That is their actual telephone number. We also have to identify the individual and make sure that we're targeting the right person. We're not listening to someone else's conversations. And so basically that's all part of the affidavit that would be put in front of the judge.
Are you allowed to listen to everything people are talking about on a wiretap?
No, they're basically, there'd be people who would be trained with certain guidelines that would be issued by the court as to what you can and can't listen to. They might listen to a very small snippet of a conversation. If it's determined that the conversation is basically irrelevant to our investigation, then they would stop listening for a little while. And then if the conversation were to go on, then they might listen again to make sure that it's still a relevant conversation. But they're only listening for things that are actually relevant to our actual investigation.
And who determines the guidelines for when you can listen and not listen to a conversation?
That'd be all part of the stipulations that the judge would stipulate.
So the judge gives you parameters for what you can and can't listen to?
That's correct.
Are those time related and content related?
Correct. It'd be something like, oh, you can listen for so many seconds. If you determine that they're having a relevant conversation, you need to stop listening maybe for a minute or two. Then you can go back and check the phone call. Same thing, if they start off talking about a relevant topic, but then stop talking about it, you can only listen for so many seconds, and then you would need to stop.
And are there fail-safes and protections in place to prevent you from intercepting privileged communications?
Any number that we knew that would be a privileged person that we knew about, we would program that into the software, and that would automatically block those calls from coming up on the listener's screen. If it was a conversation our number that we missed, and it was realized, as soon as it was realized, they would stop recording the call.
You mentioned earlier a phrase, tickle the wire. Can you explain to the jury what that means?
It's an event that is basically prearranged by law enforcement, so it spurs conversation about the actual crime that we're trying to record.
And the event that you're going to use to spur conversation, does that also have to be outlined in the affidavit and approved by the judge?
Yes, it does.
In this case, in January of 2023, you said you were going to use the arrest of Henry Tenen to spur conversation or tickle the wire.
That's correct.
How was that plan in place to come about? What was the mode of communicating to these suspects that Henry Tenen was arrested or going to be arrested?
A news conference was going to be held announcing the arrest of Henry Tenen for the murder of Jared Bridegan.
A news conference was going to be held by whom?
Jacksonville Beach Police.
And was that news conference planned in order to elicit conversation?
Yes, it was.
And can you explain to the jury how it was that you disseminated that information out into the community?
We disseminated it through the media.
So you announced to the media you were having a press conference. What did you tell the media that you were going to do?
Well, I think it was basically told in advance, hey, there's a big break coming in the case. So they would have basically getting them interested in wanting to report on it. And then after that, we would do the announcement. So
the event or the tickling of the wire was telling the media that you were going to have a press conference and announce a big break in regards to the Jared Bridegan case?
Correct.
And did you have that press conference?
Yes.
Were you up on the wire before the press conference?
Yes.
And did you intercept any calls, and I'm going to speak specifically in relation to this defendant, Mario Fernandez, during that wiretap?
Yes, we did.
During that wiretap, after the media announced to the community at large that there was a big break in the Jared Bridegan case, did you intercept, observe, or otherwise find any communications between Mr. Fernandez and Ms. Gardner?
No.
At that point, based on your investigation, were you also surveilling these people real time?
Yes, we were.
And why are you surveilling individuals that you're seeking a wiretap for?
To make sure that you're not intercepting the conversation of somebody else, or if you're basically, that's the biggest reason.
At the time you conducted the wiretap and had surveillance and eyes on Mr. Fernandez and Ms. Gardner, where were they physically located in the country?
Ms. Gardner was in Washington State, and I believe Mario was in Orlando at that point. I don't remember if it was in Jacksonville or in Orlando at that point.
They were not living together?
No.
Following the arrest of Henry Tenen and that wiretap, did you later seek an indictment against Mario Fernandez for the murder of Jared Bridegan?
Yes, we did.
And did you all effectuate that indictment and arrest him in March of 2023?
Yes.
Did you hold another press conference then?
I don't believe so.
When you arrested Mr. Fernandez, did you obtain a phone off of his person?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked and entered into evidence of State's Exhibit 184. It's a Samsung Galaxy A13. It has a case on it. Is this the phone that was taken from the person of Mr. Fernandez during his arrest?
I'm not sure if that was the phone that was taken. Let's see. Yes, that was.
If I grabbed the wrong phone.
That was the phone. It is his phone, yes.
It's Mr. Fernandez's
yes.
phone. 184. When you obtained Mr. Fernandez's phone, did you also submit it to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Computer Forensics Unit for a forensic download?
Yes, we did.
I have one last thing to show you before we conclude with you for now. I want to show you what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 194. It is a video dated January 25th, 2023. Is that the day that you all arrested Henry Tenen for the murder of Jared Bridegan?
Yes.
And we're seeing a room or building here. What area, location is this that we see?
That is the CJIC office.
The Crime Gun Intelligence Center.
Yes.
And I'm going to play this video. It doesn't have sound. It's audio only.
You mean video?
There's no audio. And we can see some people in this video. Is this yourself that we see and your partner, Detective Lamont?
Yes, that's correct.
And this video in the upper right-hand corner says Axon Body 2. Is this being recorded with a video camera or a phone or a body camera?
It's a JSO body camera.
Does Jacksonville Beach have body cams?
At this time, no.
Okay. And we see an individual here where at 15:34:18 in the timestamp, who is the individual we see walking in the green jumpsuit?
Mr. Henry Tenen.
And Detective Johns, what was the purpose behind having JSO record Mr. Tenen on body cam walking after his arrest?
He has a very unique gait or style of walking, and that was to show that it matched the style of walking that was on the surveillance video from Grotto.
I'm showing you one last slide. This is State's, is this a slide that you or one of your teammates spliced together of different surveillance clips that you recovered from February 16, 2022?
Yes, that's correct.
And this is this is a composition of several clips that were included in a video the jury's already seen, State's Exhibit 91. And we just saw Mr. Tenen walking, and this is a video showing video footage of the shooter walking. And you all made this in order to compare the gait of Mr. Tenen to the gait of the individual you see here.
That's correct.
And here in this video, you were referencing earlier that you collected some boots and a jacket that appeared consistent with video footage that you had obtained.
That's correct.
Yes.
That concludes my questions at this time. We're going to recall Detective Johns later in the State's case.